Nosema bombycis, which causes pebrine in silkworm, is a microsporidian protozoan. What are true about hardwood? It does not help in water conduction, and D, it has treachery elements which are filled with tannin resin, etc. Hormones of hypothalamus control the body temperature, even appetite, even thirst, then moods, then circadian rhythm, sleep, hunger, etc. Hello dear students, welcome back to part 2 of this Karnataka CET 2009 biology paper analysis. Moving on to question number 21. The greatest threat to genetic diversity in agricultural crop is option A, extensive mixed cropping, option B, introduction of high yielding varieties, option C, extensive use of fertilizers, option D, extensive use of insecticides and pesticides. The greatest threat to genetic diversity in agricultural crop is the extensive use of insecticides and pesticides. This is going to reduce the genetic constitution or genetic diversity of particularly the agricultural crops. So, they are a threat to the genetic diversity in agricultural crops. So, option A, extensive mixed cropping, is also a threat, but among all these four, which is more this one, it is extensive use of insecticides and pesticides. So, option A, extensive mixed cropping, is wrong. Option B, introduction of high yielding varieties, is wrong. Option C, extensive use of fertilizers, is wrong. Option D, extensive use of insecticides and pesticides, is the correct answer. The greatest threat to genetic diversity in agricultural crop is extensive use of insecticides and pesticides. So, the chemical composition of these insecticides and pesticides is going to affect the genetic diversity in agricultural crops. So, option D is correct. Nosema bombycis, which causes pebrine in silkworm, is a virus. Option A. Option B, bacterium. Option C, protozoan. Option D, fungus. Nosema bombycis is a microsporidian protozoan. So, which causes what? Pebrine, a disease in silkworm. So, option A, virus, is wrong. It's a protozoan. Option B, bacterium, is wrong. Option C, protozoan, is correct. And option D, fungus, is wrong. So, option C is correct. Nosema bombycis, which causes pebrine in silkworm, is a microsporidian protozoan. So, option C is correct. Moving on to question number 23. Paleontologists unearthed a human skull during excavation. A small fragment of the scalp tissue was still attached to it. Only little DNA could be extracted from it. If the genes of the ancient man need to be analyzed, the best way of getting sufficient amount of DNA from this extract is, I think all of us know in DNA fingerprinting, the technology is definitely going to help, and even a small traces of DNA can be used for analysis. So, option A, subjecting the DNA to polymerase chain reaction, subjecting the DNA to gel electrophoresis. Option C, treating the DNA with restriction endonucleases, and option D, hybridizing the DNA with DNA probe. So, it can be by subjecting DNA to polymerase chain reaction, where you can take a small traces of DNA for analysis. So, option subjecting the DNA to polymerase chain reaction is correct. Option B, subjecting the DNA to gel electrophoresis is wrong. Option C, treating the DNA with restriction endonuclease is wrong. Option D, hybridizing the DNA with DNA probe. So the best method is subjecting the DNA to polymerase chain reaction. So option A is correct. Moving on to question number 24. Which of the following would be insignificant amount in xylem sap? Option A, nitrates. Option B, phosphates. Option C, water. And option D, sugar. Xylem, it is one of the vascular bundle that contains water with some minerals like the nitrate and phosphate. Solute transport is carried out by the phloem. So here, which of the following would be insignificant amount in xylem sap? It is sugar. Sugar is not found in very less amount or not found in xylem sap. So option A, nitrate is wrong. Option B, phosphate is wrong. Option C, water is wrong. Option D, sugar is correct. So option D, sugar is correct. Moving on to question number 25. If the person shows the production of interferons in his body, chances are that he is suffering from option A, malaria, option B, measles, and option C, tetanus, and option D, anthrax. Interferons, we know what are interferons. Interferons are group of signaling proteins made and released by host cells in response to the presence of several pathogens, may it be like viruses. So there's one virus called measles virus is a member of morbillivirus genus. So this morbillivirus genus, that IFNs, which consists of IFN alpha and IFN beta. These are important components of innate immunoresponse. So the potent inflammatory cytokines are produced by virally infected cells and serve as an early response to inhibit viral replication. So here, if the person shows the production of interferons in his body, chances are that he is suffering from measles. So option A, malaria is wrong. Option B, measles is correct. Option C, tetanus is wrong. Option D, anthrax is wrong. So option B, suffering from measles, is correct. Moving on to question number 26. The RER, the rough endoplasmic reticulum in the cell synthesized a protein which would be later used in building the plasma membrane. But it is observed that the protein in the membrane is slightly different from the protein made in RER. The protein was probably modified into another cell organelle. Identify that organelle in the given diagram. Option A, whether it is A, B, C or D. The organelle is D. D is nothing but the Golgi body. C is eukaryotic organelle with a network of tubule and vesicle. A is, you can see it is mitochondria. Then B is, that is chromosomes present in the nucleus. Why D is the organelle? D in the figure is showing Golgi body, which consists of flattened sacs stacked on each other, and it serves to process what? Secretory and synthetic products from the endoplasmic reticulum and then transport the finished products into cell part or secrete them to the outside of the cell. So option D is correct. So option D is nothing but Golgi body. A is wrong, B is wrong, C is wrong, D. The organelle is D here, that is Golgi body. So option D is correct. Moving on to question number 27. The respiratory quotient during cellular respiration would depend on option A, the nature of the substrate, option B, the amount of carbon dioxide released, and option C, the amount of oxygen utilized, and option D, the nature of enzyme involved. You know what is respiratory quotient? RQ is equal to volume of CO2 evolved by volume of O2 consumed. And we know that the respiratory quotient depends upon the amount of the respiratory substrate. that is used in the process, that is during respiration. For example, we take carbohydrates as a substrate, then as we know that, and are completely oxidized, RQ will be 1. Why it will be 1? Because equal amount of CO2 and O2 evolved and consumed will be are both are evolved, both are, that is CO2 and O2, that is evolved and consumed, is equal. So for example, if you take the respiratory substrate as protein, if you take the respiratory substrate as protein, then it will be less than, RQ is less than 1. So the RQ value depends upon the nature of the substrate. So option A, the nature of the substrate, is correct. Option B, the amount of carbon dioxide released, is wrong. Option C, the amount of oxygen utilized, is wrong. Option D, the nature of enzyme involved, is wrong. So option A is correct. Moving on to question number 28. Which of the following is not a greenhouse gas? Option A, carbon dioxide. Option B, methane. Option C, oxygen. And option D, water vapor. So among the four, which is not a greenhouse gas? So the most significant greenhouse gas is a what? Water vapor, that is H2O. Then we have this methane, CH4, then nitrous oxide, according to the Environmental Protection Agency. So which of the following is not a greenhouse gas? Carbon monoxide is a greenhouse gas. Methane is a methane also is a greenhouse gas. Oxygen is not a greenhouse gas. Water vapor is a greenhouse gas. So option C is correct. A is wrong, B is wrong, and D is wrong. So option C, oxygen, is the right answer. So which of the following is not a greenhouse gas? Oxygen is not a greenhouse gas. Moving on to question number 29. Both husband and wife have normal vision, though their fathers were colorblind and mothers did not have any gene for color blindness. The probability of their daughters becoming colorblind is 75%, B 0%, and C 25%, and D 50%. If both husband and wife have normal vision where the fathers are colorblind, then the husband has what? Normal vision, while the wife is the carrier of the colorblind gene. As always, X, as you know, that is located on the X chromosome. So this could result in what? One normal and one carrier female progeny. So both are phenotypically normal. Genotypically, one is carrier, one is normal, and the other one is carrier female. So that means both are phenotypically normal. So the probability of their daughters becoming colorblind is 0%. So option A, 75%, is wrong. Option B, 0%, is correct, because one is normal and the other one is a carrier. So genotypically she is a carrier, but phenotypically she is also a normal. So C, 25%, is wrong. Option D, 50%, is wrong. So B, 0%, is correct. Moving on to question number 30. An animal which has both exoskeleton, skeletal and endoskeletal structures. I think all of us know what is exoskeletal, the skeletal structure that is present outside the body, and endoskeletal structure, the skeletal structure that is found inside the body. Option A, tortoise. Option B, frog. Option C, jellyfish. And option D, freshwater mussel. We know vertebrates with some kind of shell or armored skin, different shades, such as like we can come across in turtles or tortoises, and also in some members of armadillos, including even the extinct ones. So has both what? Exoskeletal structure and endoskeletal structure. So it is tortoise. Among the four, the right one is tortoise. So option A, tortoise, is correct. Option B, frog, is wrong. And option C, jellyfish, is wrong. And option D, freshwater mussel, is wrong. So option A, tortoise, is correct. Moving on to question number 31. 2n is equal to 16 in a primary spermatocyte, which is in metaphase of first meiotic division. What shall be the total number of chromatids in each of the secondary spermatocyte. Option A 8, option B 16, option C 24, option D 32. We know that the number of chromosomes present in secondary spermatocyte is N, and in one chromosome there are two sister chromatids. So in one chromosome is two sister chromatids. So if there are 16 chromosomes in primary spermatocyte, the secondary spermatocyte will have half of the number, that is 8 chromosomes, and the chromatids will be 8 into 2, that is 16. So option A 8 is wrong, option B 16 is correct, option C 24 is wrong, option D 32 is wrong. So option B is correct. Kiran, moving on to question number 32. Identify the group which includes animals, all of which give birth to young ones directly. Option A, platypus, penguin, bat, hippopotamus. Option B, shrew, bat, kiwi, cat. Option C, lion, whale, ostrich, bat. Then D, dolphin, kangaroo, bat and cat. So as we know that the mammals will give birth to young ones directly. Mammals give birth to young ones directly. So the group which includes animals, all of which give birth to young ones directly. So option A, platypus. Platypus is a egg-laying mammal. So it is wrong. Here shrew, bat, kiwi, cat, this is wrong. So lion, whale, ostrich, bat is wrong. Here dolphin, kangaroo, bat and cat is correct. So option D is correct. Option D is correct. Moving on to question number 33. Compare the statements A and B. Statement A, blood sugar level falls rapidly after hepatectomy. Statement B, the glycogen of the liver is the principal source of blood sugar. What is hepatectomy? Hepatectomy is nothing but the removal of the liver. And we all know that liver has a great role to play in glucose metabolism. So it converts glucose back into glycogen and stores it in the liver. And whenever it wants, it supplies to the body when the glucose to the blood when the glucose level drops. Here, blood sugar level falls rapidly after hepatectomy is wrong. It cannot store extra glucose and it will remain in the blood. And when glucose is required or low, it won't be available. So it is wrong. B, the glycogen of the liver is the principal source of blood sugar. It is correct. So statement A is wrong and B is correct. So statement option A, statement A is correct and B is wrong. Statement A is wrong and B is correct. Both the statements A and B are correct and B is not the reason for A is wrong. Both the statements A and B are correct and B is the reason for A is wrong. So option B is correct. Moving on to question number 34. What is R true about heartwood? It does not help in water conduction. B, it is also called alburnum. C, it is dark in color but very soft. D, it has tertiary elements which are filled with tannin, resin, etc. A, it does not help in water conduction is correct. Why? Because it represents what? Heartwood represents the non-functional part of the secondary xylem and therefore does not conduct water. It is correct. True. This is true. It is also called alburnum is false. Why? It is also called what? Duramen. Then this is also false. It is dark in color. Yes, of course, it is dark in color, but very hard. Here it is given very soft. It is very hard. So that is also false. D, it has tertiary elements which are filled with tannin, resin, etc. is correct. It is also true. So A and D are true. So option A and D are true, correct. B and D wrong. A, B and C is wrong. B, C and D is wrong. So option A is correct. So what are true about heartwood? It does not help in water conduction. And D, it has tertiary elements which are filled with tannin, resin, etc. Moving on to question number 35. Compare the statements A and B. Statement A, auxins promote apical dominance by suppressing the activity of lateral buds. Statement B, in moriculture, what is moriculture? It is the process of rearing of mulberry plant. Periodic pruning of shoot tips is done to make mulberry plants bushy. Select the correct description. We know auxins are the growth promoting hormones, are responsible for growth and elongation of stem and also promote apical dominance. And they what they do, they suppress the activity of the lateral buds. Correct. This is also correct. In moriculture, that is in rearing of cultivation of mulberry plant, periodic pruning, that is auxins are produced, as we know, auxins are produced at the tips, and the pruning of the tips is done where the branches are cut periodically in moriculture. So this allows what? The lateral buds to grow and forms branches. So this helps to make the plant bushy. So correct. Both the statements are correct. So statement A is correct and B is wrong is wrong. Statement A is wrong and B is correct is wrong. Both the statements A and B are correct, and A is the reason for, is not the reason for B is wrong. Both the statements A and B are correct, and A is the reason for B is correct. So option D is correct. Moving on to question number 36. Bryophytes resemble algae in the following aspects. We know bryophytes, they are called the amphibious plants of the plant kingdom. Option A, differentiation of plant body into root, stem, leaves and autotrophic nutrition. Option B, thallus-like plant body, presence of roots and autotrophic nutrition. Thallus-like plant body, lack of vascular tissues, that they don't have xylem and phloem and autotrophic nutrition. Then D, filamentous body, presence of vascular tissues and autotrophic nutrition. So we know that bryophytes resemble algae in having thallus-like plant body and lack of vascular tissues, namely the absence of xylem and phloem, and autotrophic nutrition, apart from that being photoautotrophic. So option A, differentiation of the plant body into root and stem is wrong. Thallus-like plant body, presence of roots is wrong. Thallus-like plant body, lack of vascular tissues and autotrophic nutrition is correct. Option D, filamentous body, presence of vascular tissues and autotrophic nutrition is wrong. So option C is correct. Moving on to question number 37. Compare the statements A and B. Statement A, a monocistronic mRNA can produce several types of polypeptide chains. Statement B, the terminator codon is present on the mRNA. We'll analyze the statement A. A monocistronic mRNA is the mRNA that codes for only one protein, single protein. Here it is given several types, and it is responsible for what? And it can be translated to form only one type of protein, process only one type of polypeptide chain. There they have given several types of polypeptide chains. So this statement is wrong. The terminator codon. So we know that terminator codon is also known as stop codon, is a triplet of nucleotides present in mRNA. Correct. The terminator is present on mRNA that signals for the termination of translation. So this is correct. So this is wrong, this is correct. So statement A is correct and B is wrong is wrong. Statement A is wrong and B is correct is correct. Then both the statements A and B are correct is wrong. Option D, both the statements A and B are wrong is wrong. So option B is correct. Moving on to question number 38. Stoma opens when? Guard cells swell up by endoosmosis due to influx of hydrogen ions. B, guard cells swell up by endoosmosis due to efflux of potassium ions. C, guard cells swell due to decrease in their water potential. Guard cells swell due to an increase in their water potential. Stomata opens when guard cells swell due to decreased water potential. So when the water is lost from the guard cells, which leads to what? Decrease in the water potential of guard cells. So option A, guard cells swell by endoosmosis due to influx is wrong. Guard cells swell by endoosmosis is wrong. Guard cells swell due to decrease in their water potential is correct. Guard cells swell due to increase in their water potential is wrong. So option C is correct. Moving on to question number 39. Which of the following is properly matched? Echinodermata, Asteroidea starfish, Arthropoda insecta spider, Mollusca cephalopoda unio, Platyhelminths trematoda planaria. The right one is here. Echinodermata has a class called Asteroidea, and starfish is an example for Asteroidea. So this is correct. Arthropoda insecta, spider wrong. Spider belongs to Arachnida. Arthropoda correct, but Arachnida. Mollusca unio belongs to Bivalvia. Bivalves. So this is also wrong. And Platyhelminth trematoda wrong. Planaria belongs to Turbellaria. So option A is correct. Moving on to question number 40. A man is admitted to a hospital. He is suffering from an abnormally low body temperature, loss of appetite and extreme thirst. His brain scan would probably show a tumor in option A, pons, option B, cerebellum, option C, hypothalamus, and option D, medulla oblongata. The right answer is hypothalamus, because the hormones of hypothalamus control the body temperature, even appetite, even thirst, then moods, then circadian rhythm, sleep, hunger, etc. So if something is wrong with the body temperature, loss of appetite, and extreme thirst, that means his brain scan would probably show a tumor in hypothalamus. So option A, pons, is wrong. Option B, cerebellum, is wrong. Option C, hypothalamus, is correct. Option D, medulla oblongata, is wrong. So option C, hypothalamus, is correct. Hope you have understood the part 2 of this Karnataka CET 2009 biology paper analysis. So I'll be back with part 3 KCET 2009 biology paper analysis.